So this is something that I think was really fascinating. So if you talk to the average, traditional finance or traditional economist, there's this thing you've probably heard that said, QE didn't print money. And that's because there's no commercial lending, dollars aren't created, and CPI didn't go super high. And that's why they say that. I think that's wrong. And I want to give the example because I think the bond example is really fascinating. So what a bond is, and I think this isn't always clear, is let's say I lend you $10,000. I say, here, Peter, here's $10,000. I transfer it from my bank account.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you agree to pay me back $10,500 in 2 years, a couple payments, some interest, then you pay it all back. Great. A bond is nothing more than that agreement. It's a promise. That's literally all it is. There is nothing else to it. It is just you telling me that, Stephen, I'm going to pay you back $10,500. That's the bond. And so in that scenario, there is no money creation, right? Because I take $10,000 from my bank account, I send it to you. You now have those dollars. No money has been created. You have to pay me back $10,500. But in order to do that, you need to get the extra $500 from somewhere, from operating your awesome podcast. And so you do what you do best, and you generate some extra money, and you use that to pay me back. Great. No money creation. It's completely net neutral, healthy, productive, functional. We need that. But now what happens if I take your promise, your abstract agreement, and I go to a bank and I say, hey, I need a loan. I need $5,000 because I want to take an awesome vacation, and I want you to lend it to me. And I don't have any collateral except I've got this agreement from Peter. And Peter, he's a trustworthy guy. He's good for the money. He's going to pay it back.
I'm good.
Yeah. And the bank says, oh, of course. Great. That's a good quality bond. We think there's a really good chance that money is going to get paid back. And so I deposit the agreement, your promise to me, as collateral, and they lend money to me against it. Now, hold on. There's now $10,000 that I transferred to you, and there is now this thing that has been created from thin air, that is the bond, that is now being valued at $10,000. There's now two things. There is twice as much financial value in the system, and the bond has been created from thin air. It's not an asset. It's actually debt. It is debt, and you could not pay that back, or there could be issues, or it could get paid back partially. And we have now suddenly done this incredible alchemy where a nothing, a promise that is debt, is now considered an asset. And now not only is there now $20,000 of value in the system, the $10,000 actual dollars that I gave to you, $10,500 that's been created from thin air in the form of an asset that's used as collateral. But now the bank actually prints like real traditional currency creation, $5,000, and lends it to me. There's now a total of $25,000 that has been created from my original $10,000. And it can get worse. And now that bank can take its loan to me and say that's a bond, and they can give it to another bank who can give it to another bank. And suddenly there's $50,000 of financial collateral in a system that all started from 10,000 actual dollars.
Sounds like how we got what happened in 2008 and the contagion from that. Is this essentially rehypothecation? It's
also what just happened in crypto. Yeah. It's also Three Arrows. It's also Celsius. It's also, it was specifically Three Arrows, right? It's the same. It's a story as old as time.
But is this basically one of the problems of fractional reserve lending?
Yeah, it's one of the problems of rehypothecation. But it's specifically, there's rehypothecation, and then there's this strange thing where debt is an asset. And that's weird.
Because debt is a liability.
Debt is a liability. Debt is not an asset. But we have built this entire system where debt is an asset. And
because we trust that people will pay back too much. We don't allow for mistakes.
So what happens if you pay me back, right? So let's say in this scenario,
everything gets paid back.
Everything disappears.
Yeah, but it's not 50,000 being packed.
It's 10.
Yeah, it's 10 being paid back through the system.
And so you making good on your debt of 10,500 extinguishes $50,000 of liquidity from the system. It's actually bad for the system in some ways. You paying back your debt is bad. Isn't that crazy?
It's fucked up.
Like, how did we think that is a good way to operate a financial system?